Hey, welcome to the Elle Russ Show. My name is Elle Russ, and I am a #1 best-selling author and master coach. My intention is to inspire, educate, and motivate you with weekly content featuring amazing guests and solo episodes. Visit my website, elleruss.com, to learn more about me, my courses, free masterclasses, partner discounts, and much more. Enjoy the show. All right, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about thyroid in a few ways. I'm going to expand and chat a little bit about a few of the articles I wrote about thyroid. One is called Thyroid Hormone T3 and Happiness, and the other is related to thyroid hormones and pregnancy. So obviously, none of this is medical advice, guys. Go talk to all of your doctors, all of your medical health professionals before starting anything new. But these are some things you want to know. So first of all, if you're new to a thyroid discussion, this is the first time you're hearing me talk about hypothyroidism, please visit elleruss.com, click on free stuff, take a look at what I've got there, or go directly to freethyroidmasterclass.com. Watch the video. There's a paleo guide download. There's a thyroid guide download. This might be a little bit above and beyond. You can listen to it, but I'm just letting you know this is not a thyroid 101 discussion. And for those of you new to listening, I am a #1 best-selling author of the Paleo Thyroid Solution. I'm a thyroid expert and a master coach. This is so important for everyone to understand what I'm about to say. Aside from just like the basic science and facts of thyroid hormone T3, which is the biologically active thyroid hormone, aside from that being completely related to our neurotransmitters and hormones and all the stuff that makes up how we feel, how we think, our emotional state. Okay, just set that aside for a minute because I will get into that. That's the easy stuff. That's the stuff that everyone knows. Here's the part that I want all of you to understand, okay? And if you know anyone in this scenario, please send them this podcast or my information. All right, here's what happens. Depression is absolutely a symptom of untreated hypothyroidism, right? But it is not a symptom of someone who is treated well and optimized on thyroid hormone replacement. What do I mean by this? This is the problem that happens. A patient who has hypothyroidism and is being treated on thyroid hormones, but it's not the right combination, it's not the right amount, it's not the right thing for them. So therefore, even though they're on thyroid hormone replacement, they're going to see an endocrinologist and a thyroid doctor, they're still suffering from hypothyroid symptoms. You can be hypothyroid and be on thyroid hormone replacement if you're not on the right amounts and dosages and combination, whatever, of thyroid hormone replacement. So if you're not on that right amount, you're still going to be experiencing hyposymptoms. You're going to go to your doctor, and the dumb doctors out there don't go, oh, hold on a minute. You shouldn't have any symptoms of hypothyroidism because if I did my job right and I knew what I was doing, then you wouldn't be complaining to me about a symptom that comes from something I should have already treated. So these dumb doctors, you come in and you go, hey, I'm depressed. And they go, well, it's not your thyroid, so we'll give you Prozac. Or they'll say, well, yeah, I mean, you have hypothyroidism and that's a symptom, so we'll give you Prozac. Do you see the big difference there? The dumb doctor looks at the list of symptoms under hypothyroidism, has the patient who they're not even treating correctly on thyroid hormone, or the patient wouldn't have any hypothyroid symptoms. And then when the thyroid patient comes in with a hyposymptom, the doctor discounts it as, oh yeah, that shit's there because that's supposed to be there. And oh, well, that's your life because you have hypothyroidism. The best way to explain it is that when you are on the right combination and dosages for you of thyroid hormone replacement, whatever that is, T3 only, a combination of T4, T3, mostly T4 and a little T3, mostly T3 and a little T4. It doesn't matter what the combination that's right for you. Once you're on it and you're optimized, you don't have any more symptoms. Zero. You have zero hypothyroid symptoms because now you're like everyone else out there in the world who never had a hyposymptom before. This is really important to know when it comes to happiness and depression. Every single psychiatrist should be ruling out the thyroid or looking at its optimization first because T3 can be used to treat depression. but also when you're on the right levels of T3 for you, okay, then you shouldn't have depression. Now, of course, are there going to be different circumstances? Sure. Does someone maybe have some other type of disorder that's causing depression, or blah, 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 blah? Would solving a hypothyroid thing fix a non-hypothyroid depression situation? I don't know. I mean, if they never had a thyroid problem, but they're depressed and their thyroid's great, like, okay, there might be other situation scenarios. I still think when it comes to depression, you get with a functional doctor. You look at everything. You could have heavy metals. You could have low B12. There could be all sorts of things going on that are causing general malaise or depression. So T3 and happiness. Okay. So like when I had low levels of thyroid hormone in my body, when I was hypothyroid, and now I'm not because I take thyroid hormone every day and the dosage is right for me to make me unhypothyroid. I could barely think when I had low levels of T3. I was depressed. It was an awful mind and body to exist in. I felt like, like your brain is in a fog. You've got, all you can do is stare into space. Nothing's fun. Impaired memory, inability to focus, sense of being paralyzed in terms of motivation. And I had over 30 symptoms at the time when I had low T3. And in that brain, I continually thought to myself, like, what's wrong with me? It's like I was completely aware of my lack of motivation to do something, but then I couldn't seem to do anything about that. And over the years, because I've been coaching people all over the world for over a decade now in thyroid health, but I'm 19 years into being on thyroid hormone replacement. And at the time, though, I've compared lab work over the years, and I noticed that if my free T3 drops to a certain level, I become depressed, overwhelmed, unfocused, unmotivated. Other cognitive issues arise. Good one. And that's not it. So yes, part of cognitive issues are getting messed up or saying words incorrectly, jumbling up their pronunciation. Look, I am bound to do that occasionally because I speak fast and, I'm thinking faster than I can talk. But this is one of those things that you'll know, this cognitive issue where you literally are like, you can't figure out. It's not like you're searching for a word. Like everyone does that, right? We'll go, what am I thinking of? What am I thinking of? It's not that. It's not like recall. It's you literally, there's a mismatch. It almost is like dyslexia of the mouth, or you sound like you're slurring your words all the time and you're drunk. Now, look, sometimes I'm lazy when I talk and I just like mumble my words and I get that. But this is something really noticeable when it happens to me. Like if I were to stop taking thyroid hormone replacement tomorrow, I would definitely get depressed, but I would also not be able to think correctly. I wouldn't, not being able to find the words, not being able to articulate myself as well as I am able to otherwise. Okay. The other things that would come up would be, of course, physical symptoms like constipation, inflammation, puffy face, and all that other stuff. So low T3 does go along with the physical symptoms, but it also is mental and emotional. Our brain cells have thyroid hormone T3 receptors, more so than anywhere else, really. And inadequate amounts of T3 are critical for proper brain function and the development of a baby and an adult's brain. So untreated hypothyroidism in adults is completely associated with cognitive defects, right? And also goes along with that is like balance, motor skills issues, brain to hand dexterity issues, like messy handwriting. Like I told you, speech could be affected. And these are words you've been speaking your entire life, and you're just like, what? I suddenly don't know how to say that word. It's so strange. And it does feel scary. It's very, very scary. When I was suffering with low T3, I recall thinking, am I getting dumber? Like something's happening to my brain. Thyroid disorders have closely been linked to psychiatric disorders, okay? Patients are often misdiagnosed with depression or bipolar disorder without understanding that one of the causes can actually be low levels of T3. Do you know anybody who's suffering from depression? Can you give them this information? Now, here's the caveat. They'll get the information and go, my doctor tests the thyroid. The doctor tests the thyroid wrong, because if you know me, you know that they're going to do it wrong. right? So you do have to be knowledgeable at every level of this, but patients who have been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, or bipolar disorder should be tested by doctors for thyroid issues because you have to determine whether the cause is inadequate levels of T3 or too much T3. Okay, so there's problems with too much T3 in the brain, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But T3 interacts with brain receptors, and it crafts the brain's like sensitivity, just like it's crafting the brain's sensitivity to neurotransmitters that are involved with like memory, disposition, emotions, focus, alertness, all of those things, right? So T3 is interacting with that, and it needs to. That is why you have brain and cognitive issues when you're hypothyroid meaning low in T3. Obviously, T3 is an essential hormone. It's the only really life-giving fat-burning hormone we have. It helps regulate the body's metabolism, energy, mood. So hypothyroid people are often depressed, have general malaise, super sad. On the other hand, high levels of T3 can also contribute to hyperthyroidism, and that's too much T3. That can be weight loss, nervousness, irritability. So people who are hyper, they might have mood swings as well, and it would make them difficult to be happy or content. So high levels of T3 can, cause an increase in heart rate and anxiety. So then that further negatively impacts a person's mood. So it is, like I've always said, Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold, right? Just right in the middle for everybody. I don't mean the middle of the lab test. I mean right in your sweet spot for the right T3 levels for you. There's so many ways to find that out. This is really not brain surgery, actually. It's once you get into it and you learn all of the things that I teach, you will be able to figure it out. But low levels of T3 can decrease the levels of these neurotransmitters, right? So that's why it's causing symptoms like depression, fatigue, decreased motivation. And then the high levels of T3, if someone were hyper, overactive, it causes an increase in those levels of neurotransmitters. And that's what leads to anxiety and nervousness when you're hyper. But for the most part, we're talking about T3 and happiness when it comes to hypothyroidism, hypo, low, T3 being the majority of the problems out there. So, what are you looking for in a lab result? In the United States, the free T reference range on labs is 2.0 to 4.0, or 2.2 to 4.2. You get the drift. In Canada, it could be 3 to 6. All right, hold on a minute. That's 3 points instead of 2. So, all right, well, then the middle of the range would be right in the middle of 3.0 to 6.0. Right in the middle of the US range, 2.0 to 4.0. What is that? 3.0, 3.1. And that is where most people who are average in this country, who are not experiencing any hypothyroid symptoms, they have a free T3 of 3.1. These are people who are not on thyroid hormone replacement, and they're just walking around and they've never had an issue. Okay. So if you're not on thyroid hormone replacement and you get a free T3 test, and again, see my free thyroid masterclass and the guide that comes with it, along to get the list of labs, when you take it, what time of day, do you fast, do you take medication? All that information is in my free thyroid guide. Go to freethyroidmasterclass.com. Right below the video masterclass, there's a couple downloads. The paleo guide, which I've expanded and now has other healing diets like low histamine, low FODMAP, and then the free thyroid masterclass also comes with a thyroid guide, which lists all the tests and what to do about testing. So, but let's say you go get your free T3 tested. You are not on thyroid hormone replacement. You are suspicious that you might have an issue. And let's say it comes back in a range of 2.0 to 4.0, the normal one being 3.0 or 3.0, and you're at 2.8 or 2.7. It's still well within that range, but you will be discounted by a doctor. Okay. Now, I'm also not saying that a 2.8 is hypo, because for someone else, they may have zero symptoms at that free T3. It just happens to be classic that people who do have symptoms are usually below that mid-range, sometimes at the bottom of the range. Sometimes people are at 2.1. I was down at like below the range at one point and like 2.0 at one point when I was hypothyroid. Disaster, absolute disaster. People on thyroid hormone replacement depending on the combination, what their story is. I go in depth on this in my thyroid course, so I won't cover it now. It's too much in the weeds. But the overall here is that people on thyroid hormone replacement who are not on T4 only, they could have a higher free T3 result, meaning higher than the mid-range. So if normal, non-hypo people out in this world walking around who've never had an issue on a range of 2.0 to 4.0 with free T3, if they are at 3.0 or 3.1, again, that's normal. But if you're on thyroid hormone replacement, sometimes you need to be above the mid-range, sometimes towards the top of the range. It depends on you. And how you figure that out, how do you know if you're optimized, there's so many diagnostics like temperature, blood work, symptoms, heart rate. There's so many things, blood pressure. There's so many things that are available and easy to do at home and understand in order to know when and how you're optimized. But the overall answer to how do I know if I'm optimized on thyroid hormone replacement? You don't have one single fucking thyroid problem, symptom. Nothing. Yeah, that's right. I said nothing. You have none of them. Now, could you fix your thyroid, have what you think is a thyroid symptom, and it's coming from something else? Yes. You could have really low iron. Let's say you're on thyroid hormone for a while. Let's say something happened. You had a baby, you had surgery. I don't know, whatever. Just something happened. Your iron got low, and now you're feeling a little brain fog and tired or restless legs, and you're starting to feel sluggish, and you're like, oh, I maybe I need more thyroid hormone. And you do your tests and everything looks great and your temperature's fine. And well, maybe it's ferritin, maybe it's an iron panel, maybe it's something else, maybe it's low B12, sure. But I'm isolating the thyroid because that's what we're talking about right now. So yes, other things cause hypo-like symptoms. Brain fog and all that kind of exhaustion, particularly can be with ferritin, which is iron storage, and iron in general. So you always want to check that. Again, I talk about this in depth in my book, my free thyroid masterclass, and the ultimate thyroid course. So the other people who are metabolically and calorically efficient with low body fat, like athletes, like primal athletes, like, Mark Sisson, Brad Kearns. I always mention these guys like, Ben Greenfield. I mean, they're like above and beyond. These people are like feats of physiques, right? And human whatever. They're killing it. They've been on the cover of like men's magazines, right? Now, they might have a lower than mid-range free T3 result. Theirs might be lower than 3.0 or 3.1. It could be even like 2.5. And then a doctor could go, oh my God, that's so low. You must be suffering. And they're like, I feel fucking great. And the reason is because they're what I refer to as T3 efficient. Their bodies need a little less T3 hormone to run on versus the average person. So that's the breakdown of what to look for in lab results. And there's so many other ways to tell whether you have a thyroid problem. You could literally just do it taking temperature and heart rate at home. But you have to get a comprehensive thyroid panel. It's critical if you're experiencing hypothyroid symptoms. Low T3 levels wreak havoc on the human body, man. It's fucking like accelerated aging. A domino effect, other problems will pop up. You'll have a multitude of health problems that will spawn from the low T3. And then your doctor's going to try to do some patchwork kilt operation on your ass, and you're going to be like, oh my God, it's going to be a nightmare. I've been through it. I've had so many conversations about it. Look, this is the reason I did my course and my book. Because having proper levels of T3 is essential for a happy, healthy life. Okay, so let's get into pregnancy for a second. Now, the most important thing to know about this is that even if you're not hypothyroid, you could become hypothyroid during pregnancy. You could get Hashimoto's during pregnancy. Be like, wait, what? Is that to say that it would have gotten ignited otherwise? Like, maybe not. But anyway, it's really important to make sure that you are optimized no matter who you are. If you are on thyroid hormone replacement, the general rule of thumb on this is to get tested like every month during your pregnancy or more if you need to. But at the end of the day, you might need more thyroid hormone right from the get-go. The demands from the fetus on your thyroid, aka the thyroid hormones you're putting taking from a bottle and swallowing, you might need more immediately, and then you might need less after. So this is a constant monitoring situation. On the other hand, too, you could become hypo or hyper during pregnancy or after. So it's really important to watch because, yes, there might be some postpartum, maybe there's some issues of exhaustion and stuff like that after pregnancy. But if these things linger, you got to just go check the thyroid. So many hormonal changes look at, you are literally, you're creating a human freaking being. Like, there are so many things going on in here that involve thyroid hormone and are dependent on thyroid hormone, including the development of your fetus's brain. I mean, everything. So before you get pregnant, if you can, plan it, rule that out. While you are pregnant, if you're having hyposymptoms, check it, because you may need to do something mid-pregnancy with regards to taking thyroid hormone. I think the worst case scenario would be someone would catch it mid-pregnancy and then maybe catch it too late and have a miscarriage as a result of it. But either way, I just wanted to throw that out there because there's the after giving birth potential depression that you might think is just postpartum, but perhaps it is a thyroid issue with happiness. And then also same with your pregnancy, you could be like exhausted and having brain fog and think like, oh, it's just like pregnancy brain, or I'm tired because I'm pregnant or something. But always good to get checked. And if you are suspicious, go get checked. So our happiness levels, back to happiness, I just dropped the pregnancy in there because that's a state of life where someone may be confused as to whether or not to even go seek a thyroid test, because people might just be, oh, that happened to me too. I was exhausted my whole pregnancy and depressed as well. Don't worry about it. But maybe it's really not. Maybe it's an actual problem. So how do you simple thyroid test. Simple thyroid test. Is my thyroid okay? I personally the last resort choice for me would be, if I ever had a depression or, issue with that, the last choice would be to go on any type of SSRI or mood enhancing anything, because of what I know about thyroid hormone. And I was talking to the head of the very well-known big psychiatric hospital in Los Angeles. And I asked the guy, I said, hey, when your patients come in, is it just a rule of thumb that you do a comprehensive thyroid test to rule out the thyroid before you prescribe any brain neurotransmitter fuckery medication to people? Like, is that part of your thing? What do you think his answer was? Do you think they just, no, they don't. So here they are. They're just listening to the patient complain. They take a general blood test, but they don't take a full thyroid test. They'll only take the TSH. So how do they know that the patient's not depressed because of low T3? They don't. How do you know? You take Prozac for 3 months and it doesn't work. Oh, we'll try another one. Oh, we'll try another one. And down the hole you go. And now you see that something's so dumb, which is just, let's rule out the thyroid. Let's just go ahead and check the thyroid. Let's just rule it out. A dumb 6 blood test, comprehensive thing. Do you need Prozac or not? That would rule it out. But they don't. They don't do that. They're not thinking, oh yeah, master gland, it is responsible for that. We should look into their T3 levels. And basically they've been trained poorly on how to check the thyroid. So they're only going to check the TSH. And if it's normal, they're not looking to the free T3 to look at your brain. So anything brain, anything bipolar, anything depression, anything having to do with psychiatric issues with you, your loved ones, whatever, get the free thyroid guide. By the way, if you just want the free thyroid guide that lists the tests and how to take the tests, and you don't want you could just go to freethyroidguide.com as well. So Free Thyroid Masterclass has the 2-hour video plus the paleo and healing diets guide, a meditation, and the thyroid guide. And then the free thyroid guide is just that PDF if you want to do that. So make sure you spread the word on that, because they're not ruling these things out. And it is 100% related. And you can even treat depression with T3. So worth looking into. Hope that helps. And everyone, I will see you next week. Hey, listeners. Over the years, a ton of companies have approached me to collaborate, but I will only promote companies whose products I believe in and that I actually use and consume on a regular basis. So let me tell you about some of my favorite companies that I can offer you discounts for. Rep Provisions, an amazing company doing incredible things for our planet, topsoil, and animals with regenerative agriculture. And it's my number one source for quality pasture-raised meat and chicken. Visit repprovisions.com and use code L15 for 15% off. I'm also obsessed with a company called Carnivore Crisps. They make a lean, all-natural, and delicious alternative to conventional snacking, made with just real meat and real salt. Totally addictive, and my favorite ones are the beef brisket and the ribeye. Visit carnivorecrisps.com and use code PALEO10 for 10% off. I also love and regularly use Paleo Valley products. They make amazing supplements and delicious paleo products. I use the superfood greens powder, grass-fed beef sticks, the organ complex, and their bone broth bars. I love the lemon and apple. I also use their essential C complex and more. Visit paleovalley.com/promos/Elle Russ for 15% off. I also love Primal Kitchen. They make delicious paleo-approved, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and no refined sugar products. And I use them daily, from their collagen powders and sauces and marinades to their avocado and olive oil. So good, so healthy. Visit primalkitchen.com and use code L10 for 10% off. I also love paleo powder and use it almost on everything I cook. They make incredible seasoning blends, and they also have these incredible grain-free coatings that feel just like crispy breadings that you would have had prior to knowing that there's another way. So visit paleopowder.com and use code L15 for 15% off.